sign that that's the temperature, not the speed limit. I was like, oh, today that one might be aimed at me.
I'm assuming you use a template for that. Why don't you just make a header, put the page number on there?
That would make sense. I normally just copy and paste from a notepad document.
Why don't you just use Word?
I kind of just like notepad better for general notes, you know what I mean? But if I'm going to print it out, then it prints better in Word, so.
I perfectly agree with the first statement, but because of the second statement, why don't you use Word? You're making an extra step for yourself. If it was just notes and you weren't going to print it out, then I agree with you. But because you have to copy paste to Word anyways, why don't you just write in Word?
Welcome to the Desert Lair, episode 18. I'm Dustin, a functional misanthrope. Dillon's here. He's a mostly functional nerd. This week we're talking about Mickey 17. Before we get into that, we have a few things. So I felt like we were going to scale back, except kind of scaled way back, like went off the rails, scaled back. I got busy with other stuff, and then I was traveling for work quite a bit and somewhat lost some motivation. So between all that, it's been a little bit. I still haven't finished editing the last episode, so we'll see how close together these ones go up.
I'm honestly surprised because you had a lot of time.
Yeah, like I said, I kind of lost motivation. Yeah, in any event, hopefully I can get caught back up here. I don't have anything for news. Like I said, I haven't really looked at the news in quite a while now. Do you have anything?
The new Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 game, and it's just...
I feel like you have complained about this at least on 4 or 5 of these episodes. Like every time something comes out, you just like, you have that sigh that...
Well, it's just, it reminds me of Dragon Age. I love that game. And then the latest one, the Veilguard, was just absolutely terrible in my opinion. Gameplay aside, just the story and the lore was absolute shit. Like, just depressing. And then I literally waited 20 years for this game to come. The Bloodlines 2. And it's just like, let's strip away all the things that made the first one great. And then even the RPG aspect of starting out with nothing and build your character up. It's not even that. They just took away that part of it too. Where it's just...
You're a third-person action game at this point?
Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck is this? And then they're just, well, we can scale back on the story too. It was like, how bare bones can you get this crap?
I'm going to give it like the Duke Nukem Forever treatment at this point.
Yeah, and then the other thing that everyone utterly despises is day one, they're blocking 2 of the clans or like the races or however you want to say it behind like a $30 paywall or something, and everyone's up in arms. The worst part is one of the favorite clans everyone likes is behind one of the paywall. Like, it's one of the ones behind the paywall, so everyone's even more mad.
The whole day one DLC thing, in the old days, it came about because while you were waiting for your game to go gold, meaning it's out on store shelves, you're selling it, whatever, there was some lull time. And so to keep people busy, they would start working on DLC. Here's the thing, though. If you're going to make an expansion pack as DLC and then day one say, hey, here's day one DLC, you can pay for this expansion pack, all right, I'll give you that. But day one, hey, if you want to play all the playable races or all the playable clans as it is in this, like, I don't know, man, kind of fuck you.
That's what everyone was saying. It was just like, if it was the first part you said where it's an actual expansion to the gameplay, it's just we didn't finish it in time. Okay, but yeah, it's just you could easily have this in the game day one.
Trying to monetize playable classes or playable races in what should be a single player game just feels, it's shitty. It just feels shitty.
Another franchise that I absolutely love is just going to shit. Like,
now there is a slight difference here between Dragon Age and this. Dragon Age is a franchise that had a ton of potential and a lot of money and a lot of studio power behind it. So the fact that they drove that one off a cliff, to me, is a lot bigger deal than Vampire the Masquerade. Now I know that it's still a big deal to you because you really like the game and stuff. But like you said, it's been gone for 20 years and didn't have major studio power behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it's Paradox. I honestly wish they would just give up the license for White Wolf and give it to someone else. Like entire thing just has so much potential behind it, and I feel like Paradox is just wasting it.
You could easily take that in the direction of a BioWare game and make a really good game out of that. So it does kind of suck if they're just going to make some mediocre. We don't want to spend the money to finish this and make it a really polished, good game, so we're just going to turn out mediocre crap. It sucks.
There's a couple games that have become TV shows. Far Cry. From the picture of what the article was about, it was about Far Cry 3, the one with the DLC with the blood. I think it was called Blood Dragon.
I still like that DLC, maybe better than any of those games.
I don't know if you remember the basic story of Far Cry 3, but
Not really.
oh, okay. Which is from the picture of the article. It seems like that's going to be what the story's about, but it could be different. I would be surprised if it's good because it's just there's too many things and like
Who's making it? Do you know?
no, I don't know.
No. If they put money behind it and they pay real writers, it could easily be good.
And then I don't know if you know about the Sekiro game.
It's a Souls-like.
Yeah, they're gonna make an anime out of it, but a lot of people are kind of upset because the people who are making it keep talking about using AI for like some of the art.
We'll get a guy with fucking 6 fingers and
Yeah, I don't know. It's just well, they're talking about well, we're gonna use AI, but we're like okay, where it's like, but we're still some parts are gonna be made by real people, and it's just like but you're still gonna be using AI for at least a good portion of it.
Here's the way I feel about that, I guess. The game itself, you already have the game. So if they're making a random anime out of it and they're going to use AI and it turns into AI garbage slop, did you really have that much investment in the anime of this game? It sucks anytime they're trying to take a creative job and replace it with AI. So I get that. Anything that's artistic. I mean, having your job replaced by AI sucks regardless, but in a lot of cases, it just makes sense, and that's the way we're going. But it does get concerning when it starts replacing creative people. I only really want to judge it by the final product. As long as they're not using the AI to write stuff, if they're just using the AI to generate artwork, there's a possibility it won't be terrible. But I would have low expectations because it's a video game adapted into an anime. The AI thing... Ugh. It's coming, man, and it's not going away.
I've never been a creative person, but I feel sorry for people who are because it's just like, what's the point of pursuing that if you have to go against AI? You make the thing, and then here you go. They don't need breaks. They don't need money at all. And it's just, what's the point of pursuing that if you're just going to go against a thing that's a robot that doesn't need anything?
For anybody, there's kind of a bit of existential crisis that AI is coming for your job. But again... For creative stuff, it's a little more personal almost. An AI taking a person's job who does data entry, most of us could probably agree, like, all right, that's something AI can probably do, and we're not too concerned about that. Now, it is taking jobs from people, but it's a little bit different than an AI making something that's a creative product for us to consume. Yeah, it is what it is. Anything else?
No, that was it.
All right. So before we get into the movie this week, I have consumed quite a number of things, which means I should have had time to sit down and edit the other episode, but sitting down and watching a movie is a little easier. First thing, Mad God from 2021. This was directed, edited, basically everything, not all of it, but the vast majority of it was done by Phil Tippett. Phil Tippett does stop motion animation. You would know his work from Howard the Duck. That monster you said looked awful. He did that. It was the puppetry from that. But he does all of that stop motion animation. So some of the other stuff he's done, the Star Wars chessboard thing, the little figures moving on the chessboard.
Yeah.
He did that. He was involved in all this kind of stop motion animation. That's who Phil Tippett is. So this movie, Mad God, is kind of his personal pet project. It's been in the work for 30 years, off and on. And I think they may have had to check him into a psychiatric ward after it was finished because he had a small mental breakdown, probably from the amount of work that it took to create this thing. I was thinking about us talking about this movie, but I watched it and I was like, I don't know if there's enough to have an entire episode on. But basically, the plot of this is inconsequential. It's just a venue for him to make a really neat visual stop motion puppetry movie. And it's really cool. It is really neat. He talks about his influences, and I watched some of that, but without even kind of watching that, I could tell Hieronymus Bosch, he gets a lot of influence from all these like almost body horror type creatures that he has in this thing. The vast majority of the stuff in the movie is motion puppetry, and it is extremely dense visually. There's just so much stuff going on. It's a really neat movie. It's not maybe something I'd watch more than once, but it was pretty neat to look at. No score for that one. I don't know. It's almost experimental in a lot of ways, so I won't score that one. I also watched a few movies from David Cronenberg, so I'm kind of going through some of his earlier stuff, watching that. Shivers from 1975. Again, this is another one of his early movies. Continues his sexual body horror kind of stuff. 2 out of 5 for this movie. Rabid from 1977. Same thing. More sexual body horror stuff. 2 out of 5. The Brood from 1979. This movie's slightly different. A guy gets divorced. He has a kid. He shares custody with his wife, but his wife is under psychiatric care. This one, I think, was a little more personal. Like maybe he was going through a divorce or something, and that's how this came about. So this one, there's definitely body horror stuff, but it's almost more like a traditional kind of horror movie with psychological elements and less of the sexual nature that his other movies have. 2.5 stars for that one. The next one, Fast Company from 1979. This one's kind of a drama or like a drama action about drag racing. I immediately lost interest. I did a very quick skim through this movie. I watched maybe 20 minutes of it and then just skimmed the rest of it. It's not a typical Cronenberg movie at all. He even said it was his least personal movie. He really only did it for the money. I think a friend asked him to direct it, which, given his previous body of work, why would you ask him to direct this movie for you? It's not his flavor of movie at all compared to any of his previous movies. So I didn't watch this enough to even give it a score, but it was definitely not for me. I've lost interest very quickly. The next movie I watched, 12 Monkeys from 1995. This is one of the ones I bought on 4K during a sale. So this one's directed by Terry Gilliam. I don't necessarily like Terry Gilliam movies. I'll probably watch more of them. I haven't seen all of them. I've seen a few of them. But regardless of whether I like them, they are usually interesting, both visually and narratively. They have a lot of weird stuff going on. You've seen 12 Monkeys, right?
Yeah, I've watched the movie.
So that's a Terry Gilliam movie. The rest of his movies, they go even more off the deep end a lot of times visually and narratively. So this one, 3.5 stars.
Bringing up the movie, they made a TV show. You attempted watching that, right?
Yeah. So visually, I really liked that TV show. Not in a Terry Gilliam style. It looked really good. But I mean, that's one of the most convoluted time travel.
The plot just goes in. It's ridiculous.
It is really tough to follow the plot of that TV show. Holy cow. They took the movie and they just fucking launched it into outer space with the time travel thing on that. It was tough. The next one here, Reservoir Dogs from 1992. So again, this was another one I bought on 4K when it was on sale. So this was Quentin Tarantino's feature length debut movie. 3.5 stars for this one. I don't like it as much as the rest of Quentin Tarantino's movies specifically, but it definitely has his flavor. So if you want an idea of early Quentin Tarantino and you just want to see the basis for the other movies that he's made, this has a lot of Quentin Tarantino all over it. The next one, Annie from 1982. This was one of the movies in that Columbia Classics pack that I have. So far, the rest of these movies I think I've liked. This one, it's a musical and a children's movie. I did not make it very far into this movie. I skimmed through basically the entire thing. I'm just not the audience for this movie. Again, it's a musical. It's a children's movie. This was completely unwatchable. I'm not going to score this movie just because, again, I don't think I'm the audience for it. But man, I was like, this is rough. There's no way I could sit and watch this entire movie. Not even close. Maybe I could watch this one more than that Cronenberg one, but I don't know, man. That would be tough. If I were going to score this, it'd be like a 1 or something. It just, it's not, again, I'm not the audience for it, so I don't know that it's fair of me to try and score this, but it was rough. Even though I liked all the rest of the movies in that pack, this one was a dud for me. The next movie I watched is So this is Love from 1928. So this is a silent film, Frank Capra. This is another one of these giant movie packs that I bought because all the movies in it were $10 or less. And a few of them are 4K. A few of them I think are actually overlaps of maybe that Columbia Pictures pack. But what I didn't realize is a bunch of these are black and white silent films in this. Well, it's good it's been preserved as kind of a piece of history. As a movie, meh. You know, it's how do you judge a 1928 silent film in today's world?
The moment you said silent film, I lost interest. I'd be bored in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, so I mean, I won't rate this one either. You know, again, it's a piece of history at this point. Watching it as a movie, it's a little tough. I will say this, though. There's a scene in this movie, because it's 1928, where they're in a deli. You know, the girl who works in the deli is cutting this whole loaf of bread, cutting 2 slices out of an entire loaf of bread, and then like cutting meat off of a log of salami. And I'm like, this fucking sandwich looks so good. I don't know if you ever watch anything and get hungry watching people eat things, but I'm a fatty, so I do. So
there's a reason why I don't want cooking shows at all. I don't watch. I refuse to watch those. I'll just eat repeatedly.
Just sitting there munching as you're watching cooking. Well, that's fair. But yeah, so in any event, I'm like, damn, this sandwich looks good. The next movie I watched, The Sugarland Express from 1975. This is one of Steven Spielberg's early movies. This movie stars Goldie Hawn. It's loosely based on a true story. A woman attempts to reunite her family by helping her husband escape prison so together they can steal their son back. Things don't go as planned when they are forced to take a police hostage on the road. So this movie just gets totally ridiculous. At one point, they have like 200 police cars following them across state lines on like a tour of different cities and stuff. Like, it just becomes nonsense. It's kind of funny to watch, and it's a Steven Spielberg movie, so he does a good job with the suspense with it. 3 stars for that movie. The next movie, Deep Red, 1975, from Dario Argento. It's very similar to Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Cat of Nine Tails, so I already watched those movies and talked about them. If you're interested in the giallo genre, it's the same thing as those movies. Same genre. Again, I think that one was another Arrow release. It looks really good. There's a lot of extras on there. They did a good job with it. 3 stars for that movie. Next thing, the Fate Stay Night anime series. Fate Stay Night's a visual novel by Type Moon. It's one of the more famous or popular visual novels, I think. The original visual novel is an H game. Anime series mostly removes that. You can kind of, you get a little bit of that in there where you can kind of see where those scenes would have been, but anime gets rid of that for the most part. I did kind of have to think about the order that I was going to watch this in, because I'm one of those people where I really have a strong urge to watch things in chronological order, and it annoys me when things air outside of a chronological order. And even though there are times when that makes sense as a narrative device, it just pisses me off. I don't appreciate it really at all for the most part. And actually, one of their other properties does that, and I did watch that one intentionally in chronological order. But this one, though, they're kind of just different routes of the same story. So the only thing chronologically was Fate Zero, and so I took a gamble on this, and just based on what I read, I was like, I'll watch Fate Zero last, even though it's the prequel. That was the decision I made. If I had to do it again, I would probably watch the original Fate Stay first, which is what I did, and then watch Fate Zero, the prequel, and then watch Unlimited Blade Works, and then Heaven's Feel. I think that's probably the order that I would watch it in going back. It didn't bother me too much watching it out of the chronological order, though. All the Type Moon stuff is all interrelated. They're all in the same universe. I think I like the other stuff better. I was talking about the one that I watched in chronological order, so Garden of Sinners. I definitely like that one better than this. The premise of these just didn't interest me all that much. This magical war where magicians fight each other with summoned servants for the Holy Grail. The premise itself just didn't capture me. I watched them because they're all highly rated, except for the original one. And they're pretty popular, so they kind of been on my list for a while. was interested in watching them just to kind of see what the hype was about, I guess. So the first one I watched was Fate Stay Night from 2005 by Studio Dean. You've also watched this one, right? A while ago, I think.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
So I'll give this one 2.5 stars. Do you want to try and give it a rating, or been too long?
It's been a long time. I slightly more than barely remember, but not enough to really give it a score.
Yeah, that's fair. So I would give that one 2.5 stars. Again, this one's a lot older. So the next three were made by UFO Table. Animation quality is way better. The narrative, I think, is better as well. The first one I watched, Unlimited Blade Works from 2014. I'll give this one 3.5 stars. The next one, Heaven's Feel, which is 3 movies, so from 2017, 2019, and 2020. This one probably has the highest production values because they're technically movies. 3.5 stars for that one. And then the prequel, Fate Zero from 2011, also 3.5 stars. So of these three, I think I probably liked Heaven's Feel the most. I kind of felt like I was going to like Fate Zero the most just because Gen Urobuchi was the original creator of that. Kind of thought that one would be better. I actually liked the other two better. The series overall, it was decent. It was entertaining most of the way through. Again, it just didn't do much for me personally.
I enjoyed a watch. I did think the Throne of Heroes with Heroes of the Past was interesting, and some of the battles were very good.
Yeah. Some of the fight scenes that they have, they were very well animated, and they did a very good job with the animation direction of those. They spent some money on that stuff, for sure. Again, because this was an age game, the different paths are like the main character picking different girls. So I did actually want to talk about that. The first one is the Saber route. He picks Saber, which is completely nonsense to me. Their backgrounds are completely different. She lived in a completely different time period. And even though she didn't age, technically she would be in like her 30s and he's a high schooler. Like, it's just weird. She was an adult. She managed an entire kingdom, and somehow she's going to have a relationship with a 17-year-old. Like, it's nonsense.
I guess the part that I understood was she didn't really want that. It's just that was her destiny. So she took hold of it. And then being a woman, technically, and being married to another woman, the affair part of it it's a lot more understandable why Guinevere had an affair with Lancelot.
I don't think it's that she didn't want it. After the entire thing's over, she kind of wished that she didn't take it because she failed, right? So she failed, and then she's like, after having went through that, I wish I would have given it up. But originally, she was all about it. And I don't think she was all about it because she was power hungry. She just thought, this is my destiny. It's something I need to do. But regardless, she has nothing in common with a 17-year-old. Nothing.
My understanding was at the end of it, she kind of regretted it and she wanted a different life path. And I feel like, well, you're not going to have exposure to anyone else. And how do you explain yourself that you're King Arthur and you're technically a woman, actually? How do you explain that to literally anyone else and they understand?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, but I mean, she already knew, like, this can't be a thing. I didn't feel like that made a lot of sense to me. I'm like, this is just dumb. His relationship with Rin, at least the way that the story portrays it, feels the most organic, I think. That's the Unlimited Blade Works route. That one actually felt natural. They're both teenagers. They're both kind of on their own. And, you know, the way that it was portrayed made sense.
I don't know. That one really stretches it. So Archer is you in the future. How are you some random nobody equal to some of the greatest people in history ever? You are literally a nobody to like history.
Well, he is now, but the point is, in the future, he isn't a nobody. He kind of becomes a noble hero.
I don't know. It's still, and they're like, all the heroes are not equal. Certain heroes are leagues above others.
Well, yeah.
It really stretches it. In the first one where he goes against Hercules.
Yeah.
And not just the normal version, the Berserk version.
During their normal fight, he doesn't get much accomplished. And he really only gets stuff accomplished once he takes them into that reality marble thing. And they even say, just based on that specific talent or power or whatever, that's, you know, it works well against Hercules. Because essentially, Gilgamesh has the same power. His armory is similar to the Unlimited Blade Works reality marble, and he decimates Hercules as well.
Well, the difference being is the Blade Works is just his copied swords that are kind of generic, whereas Gilgamesh has some of the greatest weapons that have ever been made.
Well, yeah, but he can copy all of those in his reality marble. And while they say, yeah, they're not as strong as the originals, they're pretty close. But the bigger point is that he has the ability to have thousands of weapons essentially just overwhelm Hercules and kill him enough times.
So I just feel like he has a little bit of the main character plot armor.
Yeah,
but
that's fine. Going back to his relationships with these girls, and so the final one with Sakura, like, here's the thing. You're almost taking advantage of her. No one is coming over to your house daily to cook and clean with you because they're your friend.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be pretty obvious.
You'd have to be the most dense person on earth. I get, like, her home life is absolute shit. Maybe she just wants to be anywhere but there. But you have to be clear with her, like, hey, we're friends, but you need to spend time with some other friends. Like, you can't live over here. Either that or you need to acknowledge the fact she's practicing to be your wife, dude. You can't pretend like you don't know what's going on. Also, here's the thing. If a cute girl is coming over to my house every day and just wants to cook with me and clean with me and just spend time with me, I'm fucking picking her over all the rest of them. That's not even a choice.
One of the reasons why I don't really watch anime. They always got to make their main character the most dense idiot, super weak, borderline coward almost.
The milk toast any man.
Yeah, they don't have to be the Giga Chat alpha male, but just like give them a little bit of backbone and a little bit of intelligence, and just they may be so much more likable.
Yeah, well, then neckbeard nerds couldn't imprint themselves onto the milk toast any man.
Yeah.
Listen, all I'm saying is, if a girl's coming over to my house every day and she wants to fucking cook food with me and clean up with me and just hang out, like, I'm putting a ring on her finger. I'm not picking the dead ghost who died a couple thousand years ago. The entire series, it was entertaining the entire way through. It just, the premise wasn't necessarily for me.
The primary reason why I watched those is because all of the battles with the heroes were awesome.
They spent a lot of money on that stuff, so I can see that. Played a few games. So the first one, The Last of Us Part 1. So narratively, easily top 10, maybe top 5 of games of all time in terms of narrative. The narrative, it's a hardened man. He becomes kind of a paternal figure to a teenage girl. It's an apocalyptic scenario. It's not new. It's not unique. It's a fairly standard formula. It's just done well. The writing is done well. You like Ellie as a teenage girl. Joel is a sympathetic character. So they do a good job with the character writing. I like these characters. Joel, at least, maybe you don't like him, but he's sympathetic. You understand his thing. And they do a good job having the characters bond throughout the game.
I've only ever heard universal praise for that game.
Narratively, I have nothing to complain about. They did a really good job. The problem I had comes into the gameplay aspect of this. It's largely designed to be a stealth game, which makes sense, but stealth just isn't for me. And some of the encounters aren't realistic, especially the human side of things. You're in apocalypse, ammo is scarce, but enemies can infinitely shoot at you, but then you go to their corpse and suddenly they have no ammo. So it's like every guy you killed him when he fired his last bullet, whether that was 1 bullet or 500 bullets. So I get it, it's a video game, but it kind of takes you out of the narrative a little bit when you're like, well, this is a bit ridiculous, man. Also, the crafting system in this game is completely unnecessary. There was no reason why we needed to have crafting in this game. Give me the guns. I'll pick which one I want to use. I don't need to slowly upgrade them over time and try and find resources to upgrade. That's not what this game needed to be. There was absolutely no reason to put the crafting in this game. I'm super tired of games in general having crafting systems. I'm just fucking tired of crafting. We don't need to tack a crafting system onto every goddamn game on the planet. This game did not need any crafting element. It just didn't need it. Score-wise, I'm going to say 8 out of 10. Gameplay-wise, I was like, it looks really good. I played it on my 4K computer or with the 4090 on the 77-inch OLED, so it looks really good. The narrative is good. They have a TV show out. I haven't watched the TV show. Have you watched any of it?
No.
I will definitely watch the TV show. Honestly, I think I'll probably like it better in that format. Couple other games here I tried to play, Bastion and Transistor. These are action RPGs. They're by an indie developer called Supergiant Games. These are actually really popular. They have very good ratings. Bastion, Transistor, newer one, Hades. I tried to play them. They weren't really for me. Not that they weren't good games, just...
I don't know Bastion, but I know Hades, and yeah, that's just not the game for me.
The next game I tried to play was Greedfall. So you have played this game.
I did a playthrough of it. I enjoyed it. There were some things that weren't as good, but I mean, it's a double A. I went in expecting a triple A level quality. They reuse a lot of zones. But I mean, I enjoyed the story for a playthrough, and the combat wasn't terrible.
I mean, you had an expectation it was a double A game, and you went in, and it was a decent game for you. I'm actually interested in playing some of their other games. They look interesting to me, and I'll probably give those a try. But this one, gameplay-wise, it felt a little generic and a little samey to me, and so it didn't really capture me gameplay-wise. Story-wise, it seemed like it was decent, but just maybe not enough to keep me playing. I don't remember how much I played of this. 10-ish hours, 12-ish hours, somewhere in there, maybe. If I had to give it a rating based on what I played, I would say between 6.5 and 7. What would you rate it?
Maybe 7.5.
Yeah, so that seems fair. I mean, that seems the ballpark. It was good enough for you to keep playing it, a playthrough. For me, I kind of fell off. I think that's all I have for the massive list of stuff that I've done other than trying to edit the show in these past couple months at this point. The movie that we were going to talk about this week, Mickey 17 from 2025. This movie was directed by Bong Joon-ho. He's a South Korean director, filmmaker. He's also directed Snowpiercer and Parasite. I think it's the first non-English speaking movie to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. So at this point, he's a pretty big name director. He largely makes satire. Most of his films are social commentary. They have some kind of social commentary in them. Mickey 17 is no exception to this. Synopsis from IMDb here. Adapted from the novel Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton, Robert Pattinson is an expendable, a disposable crew member on a space station selected for dangerous tasks because his body can be reprinted if he dies, with his memories largely intact. With one regeneration, though, things go very wrong. I like sci-fi. I like space. I also like the potential for good social commentary. So premise-wise, this movie is definitely up my alley. Robert Pattinson plays Mickey. The movie opens up. He's laying in this ice cave. He remarks, I should have died from this fall. Instead, I'm turning into a meat popsicle. His buddy flies by, and he flags him down, and he's like, Mickey? He's like, you haven't died yet? Like, God, this guy's an insensitive dick right out the gate.
And it doesn't get any better. The entire movie.
We go through the intro here. We get introduced to him being this expendable. I like how they're playing a game in the lab while they should be doing lab stuff, paying attention to what's going on, and they're all playing a game in the goddamn lab.
The part where the guy kicks the cable and almost completely screws up the memory dump. He's like, oh God, he has to quickly hook it back up. I was like, there has to be a better way to do that.
There's so much negligence going on in this laboratory. Like, God, man, these people.
I like how literally like 4 times they forget to roll the thing that helps him roll out, and he just comes out like
it's trying to spit him onto the floor.
Oh God, that made me laugh so hard. There's the guy who's literally just sitting right next to it, and he's just like playing a game on his phone or something, or watching a TV show or something.
These guys are so negligent. Do your goddamn job, dude. Jesus. We get introduced to him. He's this expendable. So he's outside of the ship, and they're telling him, like, hey, Mickey, how are you feeling right now? And he's like, I don't know. They're like, you've been exposed to unthinkable levels of radiation.
No. They lied to him because they're like, yeah, we need you to go out there and fix this cable. And he goes out there, and he's like, the cable's already fixed. They're like, yeah, we know. We lied. We pretty much lied to your face to get you to be exposed to radiation and see what happens.
And they're like, we want to go through this checklist, like how long until your skin starts boiling, how long until you go blind.
And the main thing, like the main point of this is to see how long it takes you to die.
Yeah. They want him to take off his glove, and his hand gets chopped off and just is floating in space. So he's in the lab again. He's dying. And I like how they tells the girl he's going to bleed out of his eyes, his nose, his ass. They tell him, make sure you collect samples from every hole. And then the one guy telling him, you're going to have the shortest lifespan of any expendable. 10 minutes. It's like, thanks.
They use like 4 or 5 of them to test like a bioweapon. It's like, seriously?
So the movie has a flashback. So it goes back to how he got into all this. Turns out his friend asks him to go into business with him and like take a loan for his French dessert business or something. And of course, instead of taking a loan from a bank who probably wouldn't give them a loan because it's a stupid business idea, they take a loan from some kind of loan shark who's hacking people up with chainsaws.
His minion is like, yeah, we don't care about the money anymore. It's just giving an example to people who try and renege on their debt. Like, oh, so you out of all the loan sharks, you pick like the psychotic one.
Yeah, the guy who doesn't care about the money, he just wants to chop people up.
Later in the movie, Mickey's like, and oh yeah, the loan wasn't taken out in Timo's name. It was taken out in my name.
Yeah. Or most of the money. I mean, they're still going to kill them both, but like, God, this guy's a dick. When they realize they can't pay back the money, they're trying to find any way to get away. So they decide they're going to go on this spaceship. That way they can get off of Earth, get away from this guy who's going to murder them. It introduces us to Kenneth Marshall, or at least all of his supporters. I like how all of these guys are basically MAGA. You notice they're all wearing red hats?
Kind of saw the similarity between someone else, but yeah, keep going.
These guys all have these red hats. They all have this cultish behavior. They're MAGA supporters. So he becomes expendable. He tells the girl, I want to be an expendable. And she's like, seriously?
Right as that's happening, he's like, and Timo, being the lucky asshole that he is, somehow gets a piloting job out of nowhere. Like,
he got his learner's permit.
yeah, like
the world is definitely not fair. He becomes an expendable. I like how the first thing that he has to do is kill himself.
And the entire time that lady's describing what his life is be like, it just seems like she's coming on to him like, this is sexy to you? What the fuck? That whole scene was just awkward.
So he's becoming expendable. He's on this ship. I like how he's in line getting food. It doesn't even look like food. It just looks like slop and like cubes of things.
Everyone in the ship is like TV dinner. That's what they call it.
I like how he puts a thing on his plate and an alarm goes off because he's 7 calories over, like whatever his allotment is.
That part I guess I understand because you have limited resources and you're going years away in space. It's like you got to ration real bad.
Should have cut the little cube in half or something. So we meet Marshall. He's having this speech, and immediately you can tell this guy is just a pompous douchebag. But he's talking about banning all sexual activity to conserve calories, and you're like, there's no way this works. But he says, once we arrive on the planet, we'll launch the greatest sex campaign in history.
He constantly has to pause and talk to his wife and is like, is this a good idea? I'm like, shouldn't you have rehearsed this before? Like,
They land on the planet and they send Mickey out. They have him take off his helmet. The guy's telling him, like, take in deep breaths. Just imagine there's a virus that's going to kill you. All the viruses. And then he's like, it turns out there was a virus.
in several instances in the movie, they talk about the ethical and moral implications of clones. In that instance of exploring a new planet and risking everyone to a lethal pathogen, I guess I understand that part of it. But I mean, couldn't you just make the clone like this some shell of itself or it doesn't have like a real personality or whatever just to test it?
Before we send an actual person out there to breathe in this deadly pathogen and expose him to unthinkable amounts of radiation.
Yeah, it's just like, I really you just send out a clone where it's just a shell pretty much, where it just has the biological part, but none of the memory or what you consider to be a person.
Yeah, it's brain dead, and then you can use it for your horrible experiments.
Yeah, it's like
they go on a mission, and a girl dies during this mission, and of course, he takes the blame for this because he's the expendable. So the guy's like, why didn't you die in her place? Which is like, shit happens, you know, it's just...
Yeah, you can't foresee every consequence.
They have his rations, which is like... What is he getting, like 50 calories a day at this point? And then they make him work 14 hours a day, like 7 days a week on top of the halved rations. So at this point, like he's literally just slave labor.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they're treating him like a slave. Cuts back to the beginning of the movie. He doesn't die. He makes it back to the ship, and then he goes back to his cabin, and he finds 18. So he finds out he's a multiple. So it has a flashback again. They're talking about the ethics of multiples. Part of the problem was that one of the original scientists turned out to be a psychopathic serial killer, so it didn't really help their case out too much when he made multiples of himself so that he could murder people.
That was super messed up.
So they're having this trial about this thing, and Marshall is speaking. And I like how he's like, I was happy to receive an invitation from this committee. And he's like, you were subpoenaed, Mr. Marshall. That's one of these false narrative things. A narrative exists in his mind and is completely divorced from reality.
Again, reminding you of a certain someone. But yeah, go ahead.
The movie is over the top in how much of a moron he is, but just barely. Like, just barely. So the other thing we figure out is that these multiples have different personalities. So it's almost like they're not really the same person at this point.
They mentioned that part, but it feels like 1 through 16 all had the same close enough personality where you barely notice. And then 18 is just the most alpha, like, I can just kill people without even blinking. This is a huge leap and change in personality from what you know.
It's like the mirror universe bad version of him or something.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I understand slight variations.
Well, here's the thing. You have to question whether or not, is this just an issue inherent to the printing? Or is this fucking bad lab practices where they're tripping over cables in the goddamn thing when, like, yanking shit out of his brain when it's trying to imprint stuff on him?
Yeah, I did think of that. I was like, is this just a plot element to give him a different personality, completely change to make it more interesting? Or just did they actually mess up?
Because all these assholes are negligent.
Yeah, I thought of that. I was like...
So we find out his friend is selling drugs. This guy's just an all-around dirtbag. The Mickey 18 is trying to kill him. They get in this fight. They find out his friend is trying to sell drugs. Mickey somehow, 17, he gets whisked away and invited to dinner with Marshall and his wife, along with Kai, who's the girl who, essentially it was her girlfriend, I think, died when they were out with Mickey. So I want to read some of what they said to her when they're sitting at dinner here. You're one of us. With your impeccable genetics, you are the perfect specimen for the colony I envision. The Earth's beyond saving with all its muddy people. But you're something special, and I'm creating a world on a pure white planet full of superior people. I mean, you really are the perfect candidate for Niflheim's natural childbirthing program. And then she asks him, am I just a uterus to you? And then the wife tells him, his only dream is a planet exclusively for a pure human race.
Yeah, that was like...
I mean...
The similarity to a certain other group who tried that and went horribly bad. Yeah.
I mean, this is like... This guy's the most fascist asshole stand-in ever. It's just like, what? While we're sitting here to ponder this reprehensible bullshit that they've told her, shortly after that, Mickey 17 starts violently vomiting.
So the leader of this group who's been treating you like a slave has you come to dinner. I was like, there's got to be something like, and you just see him wolfing down the street. It's like, yeah, there's something wrong with this food, isn't there? And yep, like right on cue, he starts just puking all over the place.
I want to give it to Robert Pattinson. The fucking noises he's making while he's throwing up sounds like he literally is in pain, like he's fucking dying. He does a great job at this. Turns out, again, they're like testing a growth hormone on him in this food. And, you know, Marshall's like, are you sure it isn't just because of the way he's eating? Like, he was stuffing his bile. And like, no, sir. Like, you can see the rats on him.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder why he's stuffing his bile, because he reduces his rations the more he's like a slave starving to death. Like,
so he ends up back in his room after Kai tries to have grief sex with him, which I thought was kind of interesting. She has this girlfriend, and the girlfriend dies, and she's kind of coming on to him and stuff. And you could tell she kind of liked him, but part of it is, I think there's some grief going on there.
I agree with that part, but the part that happens after that, it's not just about grief. Then I was like, it got real weird. They're literally trying to like bargain in the hallway, in the fucking hallway. They're like, well, you take 18 and I'll take 17. It's like, what?
She's like, they're both Mickey. They're both mine.
Yeah, I was just like, this is getting super weird. Like,
So I like how the girlfriend is excited because she basically gets to have a threesome with 2 different versions of her boyfriend. I guess I can't fault her for that.
she says this would be your dream come true if this was me instead of you.
Yeah.
I can't. I 100% agree with that statement, and I can't deny if gender swap all the way around.
Yeah, you're like, all right, you got to give it to her.
Yeah.
Like, you can't argue with that logic anyway. But still, as Mickey, like, this is a fucking whopper to wrap your head around, man. Like, all right, you're in that same position. You're an expendable. There's multiple copies of you, and your girlfriend wants to have a threesome with you and your copy.
yeah, I couldn't do it. No,
Yeah,
I couldn't.
just
the general principle. I just couldn't do it.
just not happening.
No. Of course, if the opposite was true, where there's 2 women, then yeah, absolutely. But it's just a man thing. Like a man's pride thing. I don't know.
Double standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't have anything to argue with. I think I'm out on that scenario. That's probably a no-go, but I agree the opposite, version of that. It's probably like, all right, well, this is, even just for the novelty of it, it's kind of weird, but 18 finds out Marshall tried to put 17 out of his misery when he was going through the whole death puking. Because 18 is a psychopath, he loses his mind and decides he's going to go kill Marshall. Like, he's going to shoot him while he's talking on stage in this public nonsense. Marshall's up on stage giving a speech. I like how they're having like just Nazi saluting while he's giving this speech. So they have this whole incident. He tries to kill him, and it's this whole giant thing, and one of the critters jumps out of the rock, and it's a giant debacles. The 2 Mickeys and Nasha, his girlfriend, they're all sitting in jail together. His dirtbag friend comes in, and it turns out the loan shark had an associate on the ship. So his friend is setting up a camera and a chainsaw so that he can cut Mickey to pieces and send him back the video so that this associate doesn't kill them. And I like how before he even asks Mickey, he's setting all this stuff up like he's already going to do it. And then he's like just begging him, please, man, you can die as many times as you need to. He's just a piece of shit, man.
Yeah, it's one of those moments, regardless of how wrong it is to kill someone, especially your friend. How would you consider that man a friend? It's like, how many times has this asshole screwed you over and almost gotten you killed? At the very beginning of the movie, he sees him at the bottom of the cliff. It's because it's inconvenience. He decides not to help him. Because it's an inconvenience to you, you decide just to leave him to die. Or sign his name on the freaking contract because you know almost this is going to fail and you don't want the blowback to come on you. Like,
yeah, the guy's just a massive asshole, a manipulative piece of shit. They have this whole scene. They end up escaping. So they capture one of the creepers. They killed one of the creepers. And so now all the creepers on this planet, the native inhabitants of this planet, are going apeshit. They want their child back. He's getting ready to kill the 2 Mickeys because they're multiples and they had all this nonsense going on. And he's probably going to kill Nasha too because she's part of this. She helped him out. He's giving his Nazi speech, colonization speech about killing all these aliens. And I like how Nasha is like, he calls them aliens and she corrects him. She's like, no, we are the aliens. They are the native inhabitants of this planet.
she just goes on just a rant for like 5 minutes about him being a dumbass and all this other stuff. It was great. I love that entire scene. It was great.
Everything she says is just completely obvious. This movie, it has a hopeful, mostly happy ending. Unfortunately, authoritarianism doesn't generally have a happy ending. Let's give scores for this movie.
There was one more part I wanted to mention before we get to the scores. At the end where his girlfriend becomes one of the leaders of the council, the Kai lady does this and she like flips her off. Yeah, but then the part right after that, she has a new girlfriend. It's like, why are you trying to flip her off? Like, I don't understand. That part was just hilarious.
Yeah, like she's just a dick.
Yeah.
Score-wise, I gave this one 3.5 out of 5.
I gave it the same.
I wanted to give this movie a 4, but the movie itself, I liked it. It was a good movie, but it didn't necessarily do a whole lot for me. It's like it was funny in parts, and they did a decent job, but it didn't grab me. But it was a decent movie. There's definitely a few different things about social commentary in this. And I think the most important message in this one, in my opinion, is this: the cult of personality. A cult of personality is the exaggerated devotion to a charismatic leader, often a political figure, who is portrayed as a superhuman, infallible, and worthy of absolute adoration and loyalty. This devotion is usually fostered by authoritarian or totalitarian regimes through propaganda and manipulation of mass media to maintain power, and is associated with negative connotations of irrational followers and deceived populations. While the concept has ancient roots, modern examples often seen in dictatorships include leaders like Mao Zedong, Adolf Hitler, and Kim Jong-un. Characteristics of a cult of personality. Leader worship. The leader is presented as a godlike figure, embodying wisdom, courage, and an inability to err. Propaganda. Mass media and other forms of communication are used to create an exalted, superhuman image of the leader. Uncritical praise. Followers offer exaggerated and unquestioning loyalty, viewing criticism of the leader as a betrayal. How it functions. Maintaining power. By portraying the leader as infallible, regimes can suppress dissent and legitimize their authority. Creating devotion. Followers are instilled with an intense, even irrational belief in the leader and their mission. Mobilizing the populace. The leader's image and words are used to guide the public's actions and beliefs. In my opinion, this is this movie's most important message, the cult of personality. That's what this satire leans really hard into, is the character of Marshall and everything that he represents.
Does a decent job. I just feel like the subtext wasn't really there. It was just, let's lay it on super thick.
Well, exactly. Again, the movie itself, 3.5 stars. It was above average, but nothing over special. And like you said, it does kind of beat you over the head with this. Like, it is not subtle at all. I still feel like that message is important, though. And it's a very important message, especially in today's climate. One of the main things about this that I think is interesting about this cult of personality in these people is that infallible nature. Nothing a person does is bad. They never do anything wrong. Everything they say is right. Everything they do is the right thing. They're infallible. They can do no wrong, and everything they say has to be right. I mean, it's crazy how people think like that. Like,
I don't understand at all.
Do you know any person who 100% has done everything right, or always has the right answer, or always does the right thing?
Literally no one.
No one, right? So it's crazy to me that people act like someone is the Messiah. It's confusing to me almost how people can get into that or fall into that trap. The first thing I would ask anyone, regardless of what party they're part of, regardless of what candidate they support, what have they done wrong? What missteps have they taken? If you're unable, you're so blindsided that you're unable to see that a person is capable of doing anything wrong, and you can't see any mistakes they've made whatsoever, like, you need to take a step back, man. Like, fuck.
One part I liked about the movie of why the whole trip happened was the first place is he tried to be elected twice and he failed. Unlike the obvious, comparison he makes to the real life person, it was the opposite. And even on the ship, half the people don't like him anyways. Like,
well, the church is trying to use him for their own purpose.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff going on, right? There's a lot of social commentary. This cult of personality is by far the most important thing. And like you said, they fucking beat you over the head with it in this movie.
I would have scored it higher. It's just be a little more subtle about it.
The last part of this movie definitely suffers, in my opinion. I think the first part of it was better and there was kind of more humor. And then the last third of it kind of falls apart. It's a decent movie. I like what they did with it. It made me laugh. And I'm always on board for more sci-fi, more stuff in space, more stuff with social commentary, especially if you can effectively mix all those elements together. I would like to see more from this director. He's already made a bunch of movies. There's a good chance we'll watch another one of his movies just based on the kind of stuff that he directs. Anything else you wanted to talk about with this movie?
No.
Yeah, I think that's all I had to. So later, man.
Yep. I honestly thought you were going to rate it a little lower.
It was entertaining enough, and I didn't think there was anything specifically wrong with it. It wasn't the greatest movie in the world, but they did a decent job with it, and I appreciate the message.
I thought he'd be a little more subtle, telling the Kai girl about, I want to make a superior race. You're not even trying to be a little more subtle. You're just directly telling her her face, I want a superior race. What the fuck?
On this all-white planet, you're like, what the fuck?
The whole thing was just like, huh? Like, you just,
I always wish they just put a picture of fucking Adolf Hitler in the background as he's saying this. Would you take that job, the expendable, if you had the opportunity?
If they paid me an absolutely obscene amount of money, you know, because he said it was only like a 4-year contract or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they would stop. But 4 years of like one step above slavery, pretty much, for like an absolutely insane amount of money where I'll never have to work again. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe I would do it, but I don't know that I would be more interested in doing it indefinitely, because then you effectively have become immortal.
Look at how pretty much every single fucking person treats the guy. Or like, he's not even a real person.
Yeah, it's subhuman.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot one part I really wanted to talk about. Fuck. The part where his personality is quite literally in a fucking brick. I forgot to talk about that. I'm so mad at myself. Fuck. I forgot about that part. Where his personality is literally saved and looks like exactly a brick. Not just like a fucking rectangle fucking like, you know,
Yeah, a drive.
Yeah, a drive or something. It is the fucking looks like a brick. Do you remember in New Vegas where like they have names for each of the levels and the intelligence one? Do you know what the rank one is? Sub brick. And the moment I saw that fucking brick, I thought of that. And I was like, are they trying to like make it seem like, you know, his intelligence is so low? It's like,
yeah,
I must be in a brick, like he's sub brick. I fucking forgot about that. I wanted to bring that up because it's like, who makes your personality stories literally look like I fucking brick? Like. And then she literally goes out of her way to like try to bargain with your girlfriend to have like the other version of you or whatever. There was a part of the movie where he's like, you know, the dining facility or whatever, he's eating, you see the two guys and just like, they're like, oh, how's it is to die or whatever, and you see Nasha go, she literally pulls out her fucking gun and literally points at the guy. And I'm like, holy shit, like you are not fucking around. Like, you just pulled your gun on someone because they're making fun of your boyfriend. I was like, that's fucking extreme level. Like,
yeah, she's a little intense.
Yeah, they get in a fight, he like drops his food. I was like, dude, you already have like fucking a 4th ration in the fucking. Dude, this guy would be like, I would guard my food with my life. Like, I mean, death eating bugs. I mean,
fuck that. I'm going to die trying to kill the rest of the people to get food. I'm eating people long before I'm eating roaches. It's not a question.